What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Crystal and this is Blonde Book Reviews, and today we're going to be jumping into another vlog style wrap up for March. So you've already probably seen my PICKPONG TBR for March, so you know which books we're going to be jumping into this month. I'm probably going to mix things up and throw in a couple extra books in here that are not on this list, but yeah, this is how I'm going to do wrap ups from now on. People seem to be enjoying it. I really enjoy it because then my thoughts are like honest in the moment as I finish the book, rather than trying to remember halfway through the month what the hell I thought about a book when I finish it. So without further ado, let's jump into the first book that I finished this month, which was the first of the month. Go me, one book in one day. That just like never happens in my life anymore. So I'm really excited. I listened to this one on the drive to and from work today. It was a really quick audiobook and I really enjoyed it. So let's jump on in. So that book is Words on Fire by Jennifer A. Nielsen. So this is a really short, kind of middle grade-esque historical fiction. It's probably in between like middle grade and YA. Our main character is 13 years of age, and she has been tasked by her parents, who happen to be part of a resistance, to carry a package to somebody. We find out later that there's something in that package that is resolved part of like the resistance. She finds herself dragged into the resistance, becomes a big crucial part of the Lithuanian resistance against Russia. And this just had everything I was craving in a historical fiction. It was very palatable, easy to read. You really felt for your main character. You wanted to join her in the resistance, but without it being like too over the top. The side characters that she gets involved with were really cool. My favorite was probably a young girl that she befriends by the name of Anna, which I really thought was a cool like side character that, although they had a really small part, made a big impact in the story. Yeah, but there is one character in here that you absolutely hate, but the author did so well in portraying that enemy that you enjoy the moments they're in the story, but you just like hate them so much. So that was very well done. So if you're looking for like a not very talked about historical fiction that is good for both middle grade and YA readers, this is definitely one I would recommend. It is not your usual area that historical fictions are from. So it's following like Lithuanian, Russian kind of infiltration, border jumping. So I thought that was a really like refreshing and new place to read about. So I really enjoyed this. I probably am going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. So definitely a good way to start the month. Hey guys, so I have an update for you on my next book. I started and finished today book 15 in the Ice Planet Barbarian series, Barbarian Teas. This is probably one of my least favorite. I feel like this is the only one that hasn't really had much representation to it. There was a couple moments that I was like, ooh, that's cool. And there was like one moment that made me be like, wow, in terms of like the sci-fi plot. But in terms of the overall likability of the characters and my investment in their story, it was a lot lower. So overall, I'm probably going to give it a 4-star. Like I'm going to continue the series. I still had a good time. I finished it in one day, but overall it's on the ranking of like comparing it to other books in the series, it is not my favorite. But yes. And then I started the next one in the series as well. So I'll have my thoughts on that probably later in this vlog. For now, I'm going to continue picking up something else because they're my audiobooks that I listen to as I drive now because they keep me awake. So I'm going to tidy the house. I got new headphones today, so I'm going to be listening to some kind of audiobook as I tidy the house. But I just wanted to give you that update that I finished a book today, and that was my thoughts. So today I finished The Secrets She Keeps by Michael Robotham. I finished this while I was at work, but I'm filming an update now that I am home. I read this in, I think it was like 2 days. I was listening to the audiobook to and from work and then while at work. And I was so invested in this story. I loved it until the final 5 pages, or like, I don't know, just the final chapter maybe. I liked the way it ended, but then they added on this extra chapter right at the end and they used the stupid like additional mental health cliche that just really bugged me. But all in all, I have read one other story by Michael Robotham, and this is very different. This was still just as good though. I was invested in both characters. I'll tell you a little bit about it, but it's quite difficult to explain without going into spoiler territory. But we have two women, one named Agatha and one named Megan. And pretty much Agatha is obsessed with Megan and her life, and they both have a secret that could ruin their lives, and then their lives kind of like come thrust together and become ultimately more and more dangerous because of things that are happening, and they do a lot to try and hide the truth, but that ends up creating more drama. I will say that there are some content warnings in here, like regarding death of a child, kidnapping of a child, like fertility issues. There's a lot of stuff around that kind of thing, so definitely be careful of those. But all in all, I'm probably still going to give it 4 stars. It would have been 5 stars if it wasn't for that last chapter, but it really just ruined the vibe. So for me, it's a 4-star read. Will I read more from Michael Robotham? Probably. Will I rush out to do so? Probably not. But all in all, I had a good time. So good morning. Yesterday, while I was driving, I finished Akane by Lynette Noni. This is book 1 in the Barbarian Chronicles series. I'm doing a read along with Ash from Ash's Book Adventure and Sash from Sash Reads. And I went into this with pretty high expectations because everyone in the group that was reading it was absolutely loving it. I know a lot of people like skipped ahead because we're meant to be doing a book a month, and some people have like almost finished the series because they're just that obsessed with it. I really enjoyed it. I read it quite quickly. The audiobook was fantastic. I do love the world. The magic is kind of like unique. I do love our main character. Her little side characters are kind of cool. But overall, I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I'm still excited to read the rest of the series. I feel like it was a good intro into the world and a good intro into like our main character and how the system works. And I'm very excited to see like where her gift takes her. If you're unfamiliar with what the Barbarian Chronicles is, it's hard to explain without spoilers, but effectively our main character, her parents are off on a archaeological project and she is starting at a new school, and as she goes to enter into the headmaster's office, she opens the door and there is a whole other world that she goes into, kind of like Narnia. And while she's in this world, she meets people, and effectively it is an alternate dimension to Earth, which is known as Akane. And she has opened up this door into this world and she doesn't know how to get back to Earth. So she spends her time in Akane on adventures, learning things, realizing that everyone that is in Akane has gifts and they think that she's gifted too. And she's spending this whole book trying to figure out what her gift is while kind of dealing with the typical adventures and negative potential bad things that happen in a fantasy novel like this. As I said, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I am excited to continue the rest of the series, but it is definitely not my favorite so far. But, you know, would I recommend someone reading it? Yes. Would I shout from the rooftops about it? No. Hence the 3.5 stars. So that is my thoughts on Akane. Hey guys, another update, another book. I finished Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. This is book 4 in the Percy Jackson series. And I think this is probably one of my favorites. I really enjoyed the complexity of this. I enjoyed the action-packedness, that's a word, of this. And I really enjoyed Percy's like development as a character within this story. If you are unfamiliar with what the Percy Jackson series is, it follows a boy who is half boy, half god, and he has to go on a whole bunch of adventures to help, I guess, fulfill a potential prophecy. So each book follows him on an adventure. This one, we follow him through the labyrinth where he has to go on many adventures to try and continue to protect the Camp Half-Blood from Luke, who is one of the other Half-Blood god's sons who is trying to cause some chaos. But yes, I'm excited to finish this series. I have one book left in the series and I'm excited to see how it all wraps up. All in all, I probably will give this I want to say 4.5 stars. It's a good middle grade. I had a good time. Also today was a good reading day. I finished Pet by Akane Imezi. this was a really, really weird story. It took me a long time to kind of wrap my head around what was going on. But overall, I did enjoy it. And I feel like it was a really cool, well done, unique literary piece. Do I think it is going to be memorable and that it will stay with me for a very long time? Probably not. I started it and finished it today, so it is obviously a very quick read. There was something about the narrator that really bothered me, like really annoyed me, but that doesn't like reflect the actual story. That's just an audiobook. In this one, this is the thing. I finished this book and I can't even describe to you what happened. But we follow our main character and she enters into her mother's art studio where one of the paintings comes to life and out comes Pet. And he feels like he is there to go on a hunt to find someone who is trying to harm one of our main character's friends, or there is danger within that main character's friend's household. And so we kind of follow our main character and her friend with Pet going on a hunt to find the monster and take down the monster. It has a little bit of a touch on obviously like different kinds of abuse. And of course, the monster is someone that is causing abuse to someone within that household. There's a lot of like, I don't even know how to describe it. There's a lot of, my arm's getting so, hold on. There is a lot of, what is the word I'm thinking for here? Where she says one thing, but she means another. This story, like very much, is not my usual genre. And I think that's why I struggled very much. I can appreciate what the author was trying to do here and kind of do that like juxtaposition between Pet, who is this like monster within the story, who is helping our main character and everyone within society ask the difficult questions about the monsters that exist when everyone is in denial that they exist. And like literarily, I can see this as a beautiful story and I can see why it's so loved, but it just didn't gel with me to the point that I was so enthralled that I loved it. So I can see why many people love it, but it was not my cup of tea in terms of the way it flowed. It was more a kind of like said one thing but meant another kind of story, whereas I am much more a say it how it is, story starts from start to finish kind of reader. So I think that's why this one just didn't gel with me as much. I can see that a lot of people would absolutely love this, and I can see why it has won so many awards, but I personally am going to be unhauling this. So if you're in Australia and you do want a copy of this, let me know because I can forward it on to you. But yeah, I personally am going to have to give it, see, this is the thing. If it was purely out of enjoyment only, I would have to give it like a 2. But because I can appreciate the writing in this and the creativity that is surrounded in this literary piece, I have to give it 3 stars. But if it was on enjoyment alone, it would be like a 2 star. But because I can appreciate the talent that went into this and the skill that went into this, I have to give it an overall rating of 3. So it is now the 28th and I have one more book left to finish to be able to pass PICKPONG, and that is Graceling by Kristen Kershaw. So if I don't have that final review in this wrap up, then you know I failed and I will be adding a punishment to my May TBR for PICKPONG. Here's hoping the next clip you see is me talking about Graceling. Hey guys, time for my final update. So I did not get Graceling by Kristen Kershaw finished. I got to a total of page 47, which is chapter 7. And I am choosing to soft DNF this. I am just not in the mood for a fantasy right now. I've overdone the fantasy at the moment. I need breaks from fantasies. A lot of my fantasies are like rolling into one and almost like ruining the vibe. So I'm classifying this as I started it in the month and I chose to DNF it. So it still counts as a win for PICKPONG, so I don't need to carry any punishments over. That is my thoughts on Graceling. So far, so good. Like I'm intrigued, but just, yeah, wasn't vibing with it. I'd read too many fantasies that was very similar to this in the last 2 months. And so I've decided to soft DNF it. I'm not going to unhaul it and I may pick it back up later. But for now, I am done with Graceling. So that is my wrap up for the month of March. It is the 1st of April today. I'm going to dive on into my first book after this when the baby goes to bed, and they will all be included in the next wrap up. So if you haven't made it this far and you have read any of these books, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of them. Let me know down below what your favorite book of the month was. And if you don't have a comment to drop down below, but you still want to show me some love, then you can drop a sword emoji in the comments down below. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, because I'd love to have you join the fam. All my social medias are linked down below as well, so you can go check that out. And the good news is I am now a Booktopia affiliate. So there is an affiliate link down there that allows you to shop, which gives me rewards at no extra cost to you. So go check that out as well, as there's a moving sale, Mother's Day sales, Easter sales, all kinds of fun things going on at the moment that can save you money on books. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.